Good evening, everyone. I'm ready to get started in just a few minutes. Yeah, we're going to be continuing Inkscape, doing some graphics and illustration in Inkscape like I was doing for past about 2 weeks now, I believe. We're going to be continuing to work on a scene where I'm basically building a living room or whatever room it is with a vase and a window. Yeah, but you'll get to see what it is if you haven't seen it yet. So yeah, just gonna load that up and then we will jump right in. Alright, we should be ready to go in, well, maybe a minute. Seems like Inkscape is ready to go already. So I'm not going to have to delay it. I thought it was going to have to delay because sometimes my system can be a little special. But looks like we can jump right in. Alright, so this is a scene I've been working on, as I said, for about 2 weeks now. And you probably, if you were following this, would know that it's mostly complete in terms of what I plan to add to the scene, but I'm just thinking now to put in some extra details, which I'll show you from these layers over here. Oops, I just turned off the wrong thing by accident. Right, so I plan to add some shading over here, and also to the table. This was done already, so this can actually come out. Alright, so we don't need that, and we don't need these. There is one piece of the vase I forgot to shade, which is inside the rim of it. I need to shade that. I forgot to put a little bit of a shadow here as well, so we'll get to that today, hopefully. And right, outside I wanted to put kind of a scene in the window to make it look a little more interesting and a little more realistic. Of course, I'm not going for a complete photorealism, but something close enough. Alright, so let me turn this layer back off. Now I'm going to start with over here since I had forgotten that the last time. Alright, this is the layer I need to be in. And I'm going to be using the graphics tablet for this. Now, by the way, if anything goes funny with my audio, that's just because of my setup, so hopefully nothing will go wrong, but occasionally something does go wrong if I have to switch things around. So just let me plug this in and hopefully you won't lose me. Alright, I believe you should still be able to hear me. Looks like everything is fine. I can't actually hear myself, so if anyone is on chat, just let me know if you can hear me or not. And yeah. Anyway, so right, as I said, I'm going to use the graphics tablet to actually draw these shadows in place. So let's get calligraphic stroke tool. And I've been informed that there's been a change to the smoothing on this tool, so I'm actually going to be seeing this change in real time for the first time. If, of course, I have the latest build. Alright, I need my mouse for a second here. I'm not sure if I have the latest build or not, because the settings look pretty much the same to me. Let me see. Okay, yeah. I don't think this updated since I was last using it, so probably not. Let me change the color on this because I forgot to make it black instead of green. I was using green on another design, and it obviously saves your color information when you switch. Well, when you turn it off, sorry, it saves your color information, so when you come back, it's still there. Oops. Alright, this is not letting me type for some reason. Did I turn on? Yeah, I probably accidentally turned off number lock. That's exactly what happened. Alright, let's try this again. Seems to be drawing a little slow though, so I'm not sure if it's my CPU is under pressure from something or if it is Inkscape itself. I'm gonna zoom out though, and hopefully it will draw a little better now. Yeah, working better now. Now the purpose of the shadow that I'm drawing here is to basically give us a degree of realism from reflected light casting a shadow. Well, the vase will be casting a shadow in this area because light doesn't only go in one direction in a room or any other enclosed area. Basically what happens is the light is going to be bouncing around wherever you have it. So what's happening in this instance, the light in this room would be going from the window area straight inside, then hitting an area that we can't see. So you have to think in 3 dimensions, even though this is 2-dimensional. So it's coming from that area that we can't see, bouncing back toward the vase from this direction, and casting a shadow over here. So it's going to have a shadow behind here and a shadow in front of here, but the shadow here is going to be wider and curved because obviously the light is going to kind of like fall around it. So we're going to put a curved shadow in this area, but it's going to be lighter than this one when it's all said and done. And you'll also notice I'm leaving some space open as well in between these lines, so that when we blur it, there's still some lightness. That's to increase realism. Alright, I'm going to select everything over here. And then select these. Hopefully. Okay, it doesn't seem to want to select those, so let me just select... Oops, that was accidentally just... Alright, let me try selecting again. I just accidentally deselected them. Wasn't what I meant to do. Good. Alright, so we have the right one selected. We can turn the alpha value down on this. and then we're gonna blur it. Alright, that's too much. I was just looking to see how it would look if I went pretty high up, but I'm gonna bring it back down to something a little more realistic. And you know me, I like my exact numbers, of course. Alright, let's bring this alpha value down some more as well. And I'm going to make it a little bit darker, like around 18. Alright, maybe I'll make it a little more transparent. Alright, 18 and 18 is what we're going to use this time. And I'm going to group everything, duplicate, and resize. And then I'm going to move this over this way. And blur it again. And the reason I'm doing this, as you would have seen the last time, is that some areas need to be a little darker than others. So sometimes you can duplicate the object and blur to give you that effect. Also makes these shadows look a little softer. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, seeing as we have this shadow in place pretty nicely. Alright, let me just move these before I, whoops, create a guide there just now by accident. Let me move these across just a bit so they don't go outside of the table's edge. Alright, I'm going to need to turn off snapping there. Alright, that isn't too bad. Just want this to be on the edge of the table, but not outside of it. Good, no. Right, so these shadows look pretty okay, but now we need to actually make the table look a little more rounded so that it looks like it's falling off the side of something. Well, the tablecloth, I should say, needs to be looking like it's falling off of something, so we'll need some shading for that as well. And there are two ways we could do this. Either we could use a dark color and overlay it on top of it, and once you get the curves right, it should look like it's curving and falling off. Or you can use a lighter color, and so it would actually make it seem as though the real color of the tablecloth is a little lighter, but the light is falling in a different way. So either choice works. I think this time I'm probably going to go for the method of using a lighter color in this area down here and blurring that just a bit, and then a darker color, so I'm kind of going to blend the two. A darker color around this edge here where the light would fall the least, because of course we're looking directly at it, and well, I shouldn't say fall, but where it's reflected the least. We're looking directly at it from this angle, so we're going to be getting less of the light that is right in front of us here, and more from what is on top and what is around the corner. Alright, so let me find... I'm going to find the table and put a new layer on top of that. And then we're going to, oops, this is zooming in a little bit too much. My CPU can't really handle it right now. Alright, so within table overlay, well, before I do that, let me lock any other layers here that we have. Good, everything looks locked from here. Set for table overlay. So within table overlay, we're going to draw some lighter areas. I want one about here. You'll notice I'm curving these lines slightly to signify fall off. Don't worry about the color, by the way, that is not the exact color that we're going to go with. And it is going to be blurred anyway, so not that big of a deal. And again, I'm leaving space between the lines so that the color of the table itself will still be visible. When we blur it, it's all going to kind of blend together in a more natural way. I made a mistake just now coming down a straight line, but shouldn't be too much of a big deal because we're going to blur this stuff. And there was an artifact that was totally accidental. Well, not my fault, but that happens occasionally when you're drawing with this tool. But again, not a big deal. So select everything in this layer now and group them. That's the first step. And then we're going to make them darker. And choose a green that's closer to the actual tablecloth, but not quite there because we want it to be brighter than the actual cloth, but still not, not overdone. And now we're going to blur it. Now when you're blurring, sometimes you may need to resize a bit because obviously blurring takes it outside the edges, so just keep that in mind as you're going through this process. Alright, I'm going to keep blurring until I get the effect that I want. I'm going to make this a little more pale. Right, that should do it around this area here. Right, so that gives it kind of a sheen and it already looks a little more curved. But we still need to emphasize the fact that there's a shadow in this area. And we also are going to put a slight shadow down here to improve on the semblance of light falling off. So for that, let's lock this layer. Actually, I'm going to add a layer effect to this layer as well. So I'm going to use overlay. Didn't really make that much of a difference, but sometimes layer effects can give you a nice effect. Is the word I'm going to use for that. Yeah. Let me add a layer on top of this one. And we're going to call this table curve shadow. And within this layer now I'm going to draw again. But this time I'm going to draw up and down instead of across like this. Widen the lines as I get close to the edge. Okay, that wasn't supposed to go right outside, so let me do that again. Alright, this should be good. And again, we're not going to be keeping it at this color, we're going to be using a darker color now because this is actually to represent the areas where it will be darker than the rest. So we're going to select all of this and bring it down some shades and then blur it. Alright, let me group all these one time as well. In fact, I should have done that first. So let me undo what I just did there and group everybody. Right, and now I can blur without everything having a separate set of values. They're all going to be sharing one value basically. Alright, I'm not going to resize this just to bring it away from the edges a bit. Beginning to look a little bit more realistic. Looks a little more like there's some actual definition to it, if you will. Now, we could decide to add some actual visible lines on this to indicate creases or not. Depends on the kind of material that you're going for. In this case, I'm kind of toying with it in my head. I may or may not, so we'll see. What I will do though is add a few circles and blur those as well. And the reason for these is they'll actually give us some more of a natural blend between the top and the bottom layers of shadows, if you will. Alright, so I'm going to group these and blur. Alright, and I'm going to add another one here and blur this one separately, but I'm also going to give this a different fill. So this is going to use a gradient, and I'm going to blur this. Alright, let me try that again. I was trying to scroll down and it didn't want to. I'm blurring this one quite a bit so it blends in completely. I'm going to duplicate that and bring that across here. And now I'm going to add a shadow at the bottom down here. And what I'm going to do for that is create a rectangle. I need snapping for this though, because I want it to come from the edges of the page. Great, there we go. Turning snapping back off. Then I'm going to add a circle on top of that. And rotate it so that I get the right position for it. Select the rectangle. Go to path, difference, and there we go. So this gives us the curvature that we want. Then coming into the node editor, and move this node across like this, and this node up like this. I'm going to blur this just a bit. I didn't mean to turn down the opacity there, that was accidental. And I'm going to add a gradient to it. And then move the gradient across this way. Oops. Alright, so this allows us to control the fall off of this shadow a lot more than if we were just using like lines I draw. Even though the lines give me some degree of control, I can shape this shadow one time and done, if you want to call it that. And I'm going to blur it a bit more just to blend it a little more nicely, a little more smoothly, I should say. And there we go. Alright, so that's looking relatively realistic, although we can still, if you want, you can still kind of like add some more blends to this and to the vase as well, because of course I was trying to get some brighter areas than others to signify, you know, there's some parts where the light is falling differently, and somewhere there's, I believe it's called albedo, where the light is like really bright because it's kind of like concentrated in that area by the way how physics works, basically. So yeah, but I'm not going to stress that too much because I think the basic concept is there and it looks nice enough already, so I'm not going to overdo it as I usually tend to do, and you know, go too far into realism. I think it's nice as it is. I'm kind of toying with adding some effects to the plant or something, but maybe not. I think it's nice as is. So what I am going to do though is add the shadow inside the vase itself, the rim of it. I just need to find where that is. Believe it is in here. Yeah, there it is. So what I need to do is add a layer on top of this. Vase inner shadow. And I'm going to draw these into place. Of course in a dark gray color. Alright, I can probably zoom out for this because performance is going to tank if I try to do this while I'm zooming. Alright, and I'm going to respect the curves, of course. And don't worry about it going over the plants at this point. If you look at the layers over on the right, you'll notice that the plant layer is above this. So it's only drawing above them because, of course, it's allowing me to see what I'm drawing. As soon as I'm done pressing down on the tablet, it will basically put them where they're supposed to go. Alright, so let's increase the alpha value on this. And then we are going to blur. And I'm also going to group everything and resize just a bit. Alright, I made lock width and height so this doesn't mess things up. Duplicate it and bring it down. Duplicate it and bring it up. Alright, let me select everything and move everything across by 1. Alright, moving it down just a bit as well. Resize again because we need to get this not to go outside of the vase itself, which you can see is happening over there. I mean, technically I could just erase what I don't need. That's another way I could go about it, but I don't really want to use the eraser on this particular thing, not really necessary. Just going to get it to the right size and that should solve the problem. You will also notice that the part over here where I have to cover up the rim of it is allowing the shadow to come through, so I'll need to fix that. And to do that, let me lock this layer and go into the vase blend layer. And I need to select whichever object this is. Did I unlock this there though? Okay, yes I did. For some reason it's not selecting anything. So let me see if I can find it manually. Okay, it's not that either. That's amazing. Or am I in the wrong layer? Yep, I'm definitely in the wrong layer. Right, so let me lock this and try one below it, see if it's this. Nope, that's shade as well. Or is it in plant? Oh, I didn't even realize I put it in the plants layer. I should have put it in its own layer. Alright, so it's in plants that we need to be. My mistake. I guess that goes to show that design, just like well, I should say graphic design, just like web design, can have bugs. But it's usually a matter of designer error rather than something else going wrong in the process. Do I want it all smooth, or maybe not? Right, so let me just move this up. I believe that should be everything I need to do in that regard. Alright, let's zoom back out. Everything looks nice here, but I am gonna adjust the inner shadow just a bit from the layer level though, not from the actual objects. Just gonna tweak the opacity a little bit to make it look a little more natural. Okay, good. Alright, looking at the shading guidelines again just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And also, of course, to take out what I don't need. I forgot to unlock this layer. I think there are some objects here that are not in any layers too. Let me just quickly check on that. Okay, it doesn't seem that way. Oh, I see what happened. I had a layer unlocked. That was why I accidentally selected the wrong stuff. Alright, so let me select this and delete. Don't need those anymore. Over here, we're about to shade here. And then I'll probably do this. The chair is going to be a little more tricky because I want to give the chair kind of a rough texture. And even like these lines I drew off the side here, I want to have like some fibrous edges. Which is a little harder to do when you're doing vector graphics than it is to do it by hand. Like if you're doing painting or if you're drawing by hand, it's a lot easier to get that stuff done than when you're doing vector graphics. So even though I'm teaching and training with this series. I'm also learning techniques as I go live on stream. I always do that. And that is something I believe you should do when you're teaching anything, is always be in the learning mode and always be in a learning position. Alright, so I'm going to turn this back off. And I'm going to keep it simple. I wasn't going to draw the shadow, but what I'm going to do instead is just create an object. Should give roughly the same effect. I need to put that behind the chair, so I'm going to add a layer above this. And that would be window, corner, shadow. Alright, let me add this rectangle here. And object to path. Go ahead and node editor. Move this one up in this direction. Set it to auto smooth. Alright, this one can move across, so I'm gonna hold Control and move it to the right. I just realized that this should probably actually go beneath the window, come to think of it. Yeah, so I'm going to move this layer beneath the window layer itself. Oops, I did not mean to select that just now. My mouse has a mind of its own at times. I try to click on something and it jumps to something that I didn't ask for. Alright, so we're going to move this below windowsill and above backdrop. Good, there we go. But wait a minute, I just realized the floor also needs to move, doesn't it? So let's get floor copy, and floor copy 1, and move all of these below the window. Okay, now we have a problem, so let me undo that. I was missing a shadow, obviously. Okay, I'll leave those as they are. What I will do is just draw some extra shadow on top of that when I'm done, so I can maintain some realism. Alright, so where are we? Oh, this is under. What did you get under there? I don't want it in the layer, I want it under it. Good, there we go. Alright, so let's blur this. Move it to the left. I will not start singing that Beyonce song because I don't even know any other words than to the left. It just popped into my head at random. Alright, let's use blend mode for this. Overlay normally gives me the effect I'm looking for. If overlay doesn't work, I'll try another one, like maybe hard light. Okay, not hard light. Hard light is being too hard. Let's see if soft light does it. It's not terrible. Let's see what luminosity. Okay, luminosity will make it too bright, and I don't want that. If I use multiply, it's going to be way too dark. So overlay is just going to have to adjust the opacity a bit. Now the goal here is not so much to make this corner extremely dark, but more or less to give the impression that there's a little less light under the window than everywhere else. So that's what I'm doing with this technique right now. Now this second shadow is just to increase the darkness underneath that corner where the least amount of light is going to reach, and also of course to soften the shadow compared to what we had before. I'm going to duplicate as well and move it around a bit to give us some randomness to it, because control chaos is one of the keys to realism. Alright, we can duplicate these. Oops, moving the wrong object there. Duplicate these and move them underneath the window in this general direction, moving them up a little bit each time so that the fall off is maintained. Alright, and now for the floor, so that we still have a shadow on that side. I'm gonna add a layer. If my mouse would cooperate, add a layer above the floor. Alright, so this is floor shadow. And for this, all we need is a circle. Let's drag it like this. And blur. Alright, let's flatten this a bit. I'm holding shift this time so I can resize along the center. Duplicate. Oops. Alright, let me lock the window corner shadow layer. Blur this a bit more. And of course I'm going to use a blend mode on this as well. So overlay should do the trick. And let me turn up the blur just a bit. Good. So everything should blend nicely together. And now for over here on the wall, let me make sure, right, I'm still pretty low down, so let me add another layer, call this wall shadow. What I'm going to do for the wall shadow is, instead of going with a big rectangle and covering the whole wall, I'm just going to do some kind of random lines coming down the wall like this. Alright, that should be below the window, so I'm going to need to check and see where I have the window situated. Okay, this probably should have gone below the floor. So what I'm going to do is move this layer below the window layer. Alright, definitely don't need to see objects right now. That's going to cramp my flow. so let's move this wall shadow below windowsill. Good, there we go. And now we can blur. Of course, not too much. Turn on overlay. And let me see, let me turn on this blurring just a bit. Let me see if, okay, no, I forget how light made it darker, so I still want overlay, but I'm going to turn down the opacity. I may need to end up turning the blur back up just a bit, trying to get this effect just right, kind of like Goldilocks right now. Alright, I'm going to duplicate this, and on the copy I'm going to turn the blur up so that it blends even more. Then I'm going to duplicate again, and as you guess, turn the blurring up some more again. This time I'm also going to turn up the opacity. And what this method does is basically blend all these layers together. Let me turn this down just a bit so we can actually see the colors there coming through. Good, so the wall now has kind of like a street appearance, but we don't want to leave it as just that. So I'm going to come back to the wall itself, which would be in backdrop. Alright, let me turn back on object view. Alright, and the backdrop is this rectangle here, so we're going to copy this. And in, where are we? Alright, so wall shadow, we are going to paste, give it a slightly richer color, bring the opacity down, and then move this into position. I'm well aware that it's covering the shadow over there. Not to worry, that will also be fixed. Just need to get up to the top of this thing here, right? Align and distribute. Put it in the center of the page. Go to path, object to path, and let's get these points here, bring them down. Get this point and bring it up this way. And this point, just bring that up a little bit. Alright, and now we're going to blur this. And as you should probably be able to see, those streets have all but disappeared. And the reason why it did this, even though it may seem kind of counterintuitive, why add all these streets and then kind of get rid of them, is because even though your eyes may not immediately catch it, this is now a kind of rougher surface, so it's more realistic. And it makes your brain basically feel like it's seeing something else a little bit more real. or I should say something a little bit more natural. That's the word I'm looking for, not just real but natural. Alright, so I'm going to copy this and move it over to here and reshape it, if you will. But I'm putting it over these shadows on this side. And I'm going to adjust the opacity in a minute as well, and blur this even more than I did the previous one. Not trying to completely get rid of the shadows, just trying to blend it more nicely into the rest of the scene. Now, I don't want this to cover the window, so I need to be careful that I have this in the right position. If not, I'll just have to move the layer around. Alright, so we're going to turn the alpha value down on this so that the shadows are still visible, and turn the blur up. Alright, not too high. Let me move these out to the side. Adjusting the alpha again just a bit. Alright, good. That should work as is. Back to layers again. This one right here. Right, so let's lock wall shadow, copy, copy. And who is this guy? This should be in wall shadow, I believe. Oh, it shouldn't. Alright, let's put this in wall shadow, copy. I'm not sure if that's exactly what I wanted, but anyway, I'll leave it. It did brighten the wall, but I'm not gonna complain. It should have been a layer, that's the whole point, and I'm gonna leave it as is. It did change the image a little bit from what I was going for, but the brighter wall isn't too bad. The streets are a little more visible now, but what the heck, I'm not gonna stress over that. Alright, let me see what this looks like at full zoom. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Still would like to fix this wall slightly, because that object that was not in a layer kind of messed things up a bit. Alright, let me see if I can put it in a layer by itself. I don't know how it got outside of a layer, but hey, that happens. So add layer, wall, blend. Good, there we go. I can even add an effect to this one though, maybe like overlay on this. Still brightens it, so I'm gonna blur. Yeah, I think I actually like this brighter wall color, so I'm gonna leave it like this. Okay, good. So let me see what is next. I've got the shadows in place. What is this path here? I have no clue what this path does. Oh, this is also supposed to be in that layer. So let me move this to the correct layer. Okay, wall blend it is. Great, good. No more stray objects. So let me see what I can delete from the guidelines here. Alright, these can go. And these can go. So the last remaining things to be done would be the chair. and the scenery outside, which is probably what I'm going to start on now, because the chair is probably a stream all by itself, and that will take some planning in a sense. So let me get to the scenery outside. So let me see where I need to work from now. That would be, where's window glass? Right, window glass. Let's work in, or instead of working in here, we'll put a sub layer into this. Alright, no, window scene. We want to have a lawn right here with a sidewalk, and then a road over this side. Some kind of thing. I think that was supposed to be the edge of a house or something. So there'll be another lawn on that side, a tree, and a bird in the tree. So to get started, let's build the lawn first. Wait, I have to unlock. My apologies to the scene. Alright, let's start with the lawn first. Is this still not drawing? Well, it did, but it's just not visible. Alright. Fill on, stroke off. Well, I see why it's not visible, because it's the same color as the window glass itself. Alright. Object to path is the next step. Then we can delete this particular corner. Select everything. Make everything, oops, not curves, corners. And that should basically solve the problem of getting things across this way, but I still need to bring it up. So what I'm going to do, actually, add a point in between these two, and then bring, wait, did I just add points in between everything? Yes, I did, by accident. Alright, so let's try that again. Select these two. Okay, I think the guide there, it's off, so why is it trying to select it? Let me just, oops. I forgot I still need the guide layer for a moment here, so let's try this again. This is what happens when you're dealing with a slightly sluggish computer and it causes your brain to run ahead of you. Alright, so let me move this point here. Over to here. That's almost what I want. I still need to probably add another point in between these two. And then move this up to here. Good. So that's exactly where we need it to be. Now we can duplicate this object, and using the same points that we have, just move them over the other corner. So start with this one, then move this one over there. Let me move it to about here. This one. Wait, I forget this one's the outer one. I should have moved this one over to here. Technically, I should be able to delete one of these and still maintain the shape. So let me delete this. Make sure these are sharp corners. And then move this up. And now finally we're gonna add the roads. And to do that we just need a... Wait a minute, where did that go? Why is that being blurred? Is it even in the right layer? How did we get into wall blend all of a sudden? That's odd. Alright, let's try this again. So, adding a rectangle. Go to select mode and skew. And then we can go object to path. Select everything, add some points. Alright. Almost exactly where we need them, so these can go. Make these corners. And these can go as well. Make these corners. Alright, this one. Let me delete this. And yeah, I could just delete this too one time. I'm trying to think through in my head at the same time, so if you see me doing something that seems a little bit random, I'm trying to think of a way to make this kind of easier for myself. Alright, let me do this with the 2 points over here. I can just resize these, or I should have been able to resize these across, or so I thought. Apparently not. Inkscape is funny that way. Sometimes you can select 2 points and it will allow you to resize them horizontally, and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm still trying to figure out why it's so special that way. Alright, so these two I'm going to rotate. Right. Okay, wait, I just had it, and then I missed it. This mouse is amazing. Come on, mouse. I want you to stick right when it turns to a straight line. Good. Now we can move these. Oops. Forgot I don't have them on move. So there we go. I'm going to just move this below the other two. Make it gray. And of course make sure the opacities turn right up. This one can be green, because this is going to be a lawn of some sort. And this one as well. Now for the sidewalk, what I'm going to do is duplicate the road and move it across this way, and then move these points over the corner like this. Move this one down. Move this one across. My mouse did not want to cooperate just now. Oops, wrong node selected. Good. And now, select, make everything darker. We'll figure out all the colors and shading and stuff like that eventually, but for now, just getting the basics in place. What I'm going to do is draw a line from this point to this point. Turn up the thickness. Okay, that was not what I meant to do. It was supposed to be 15. Somehow I pressed 3 by accident. Alright. Path, stroke to path. I could have done this the first time, couldn't I? Could have saved myself a lot of time. Sometimes my brain goes way ahead of itself and then I get to a point and go, oh yeah, that would have been so much smarter. Alright, so fill on this, we'll make it a dark grey. And that will represent the other sidewalk, or more like the curb, because I don't think there will be another sidewalk on this side necessarily, although from this angle you would be able to see it, just not much, so we could still put a sidewalk there if we wanted. But I'll determine that when I get back to this. Alright, let me duplicate this and bring it over to here. So we can have kind of a demarcation between the lawn and the sidewalk. Alright, let me turn off the why is window? Oh yeah, I forget window glass is the parent layer of the other one. Alright. So okay, this is beginning to look like a scene outside. When I'm done with building this scene, I'll actually put some sheen on the window to make it look as though it is actually like glass there. Or what we can do now I think about it, before I move on, let me add I'm actually gonna add, I can't remember what you call this, so you'll just have to see it and then you'll figure it out, because my brain is not remembering the word for it right now. But basically we can have an open window, so I'm gonna have one there and one about partway. Duplicate this, rotate, move it across here. This is not exact as yet. I'm not trying to get these dimensions perfect as yet. I'm basically just building the basic structure for this thing. But the word is not coming to me right now. I know it's not window frame because we already have the window frame, so whatever you call it. Paneling, whatever. Oops, didn't mean to move that. Alright, so we're gonna rotate this and bring it down here. Alright, it needs to rotate just a little more up toward this angle. I want it to come from this corner up to that other thing right there. let's bring this down to 250 then. Okay, that should work. Alright, gonna duplicate this one, bring it up this way. And move it across just a bit. Alright, I'm gonna need to bring the height down slightly to get it not to overlap the outer edge. Alright, and finally these, well, one of these over here. Alright, so these will become our window panes. I think that's the word I was looking for. I couldn't get that word called at all. So yeah, these will become our window panes, and we're gonna actually put, well, they'll be part of the frame, so the window pane really and truly is the part with the glass. I believe that's the right terminology, but my brain is not catching up with me today, so whatever it's supposed to be, we'll figure it out. But the point is, I'm gonna put some glass here that's actually somewhat visible. And make it look nice and realistic with a gradient. I'll add sheen and other stuff in a future stream. This other side over here, I'm also going to add one to that, so duplicate and just move it across like this. Right, wait. Resize. Skew. This thing behind here is still not completely covering what's behind it. Alright, there we go. Let's convert this to a path. Wait, I forgot this is above the window, so I need to move it down a bit. Finally got the right thing. do I? Yes, good. I have the right thing, object to path, and move this node across and down. Good. There we are. Alright, so Hourglass is visible, but it's not overwhelming. And as I said, in a future stream, I'll add the sheen and stuff to it. Oh, I forgot, Marhe, sorry about that. I forgot to check the chat for a little while there. I didn't use a clipping box this time around, but I was going to. And I still might when I'm done putting everything in place. I was planning to clip everything to a box. So that still will happen at some point when I'm finished drawing what's supposed to be in the window. I'm going to clip everything inside of one box so it can be moved around pretty easily. Yeah, that should be that. Yeah, so I'm liking the direction this scene is going in. I do want to fix this vase right here at the bottom. I'm not too fond of the curvature on this because I'm pedantic and I can't rest knowing that this is not perfect. And this corner here as well, I want to fix that slightly to make it look a little better. I'm still not 100% sold on this picture that I drew behind here too. I would like more color, so I'll probably swap that out for something else in the near future. We'll see. But the most challenging part, of course, is going to be this chair, because the texture I want to go for the chair is going to be a little tricky, at least using vector graphics. It's easier to do when you're drawing by hand because you can do as many lines and shades and all the other stuff as you want, but with vector graphics you have to kind of innovate to get that effect, but it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, as I said, I'm loving where this is going. It looks better than what I originally envisioned, and I like that open window look that I have going on. So yeah, this is coming together nicely. Let me just fix one thing before I hop off, and that is that I think this sidewalk should be a little more narrow, because now I think about it, if you're looking at it from this angle, it wouldn't be that wide, and the road kind of looks like it doesn't have any room for cars to pass, which doesn't really matter because this is not a real scene. But hey, I like to keep realism in mind. Funny for a science fiction writer to say that, right? But it happens. Oh, I forgot to answer your question too, Marhin. Which version am I using? This is 1.2 something, but here is my version number. I'm not sure if this will... oh, it's the alpha version, but I'm not sure if this build number would be as useful. I'm also not sure if it updated the snap when I was using the computer earlier today, because I had to restart at some point, and I think the file system was read-only for some reason, because I basically long complicated story. I had restarted not restarted the system, but restarted all of my processes by killing everything and starting again, which is not advised, but I sometimes choose to do that. And I think in doing that, the file system went read-only temporarily, so I rebooted the system, and I'm not sure if the snap updated within that time period or not, because usually it will update pretty much every day. Alright, I want this right on the corner. Good, there we go. Oops. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna call it an evening at this point. As I said, I really love how this scene has come together from a simple lonely viz, which is the title, as you can see from the title of the window here, lonely viz. It's no longer as lonely as it was before, but it still gives you that look of like an empty room with nothing in it but this viz and a chair and a picture. And there's nothing really going on in the scene to indicate that there's anyone here. So it begs the question, does anyone even live here? But that's the right hand side of me coming out. So stay tuned and we'll find out. I don't actually plan to add anybody to it. Maybe I'll add a name or something and we'll find out if someone actually lives here or there's someone identified with this room or this house or whatever. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying this and learning some new techniques and basically figuring out how to use vector graphics to produce more realistic results. It's not as straightforward as it would be when you're painting or drawing, but vector graphics open up some doors because you can resize to just about any resolution and it maintains its shape, maintains everything as it is right before you. So yeah, I hope you're picking up some new techniques. If you have any questions, remember you can always leave them in the chat or in my comments, or you can contact me via my website. Also, make sure to go and check out my stores, my Gumroad store, and Redbubble and Teespring. All those links are on my streaming page. That is rolanditsar.pro/streaming. And also you can look out for a coding stream on Thursday. I'm going to be doing some CSS art for the first time on stream. Not first time for me, but first time on stream. I'm going to be doing some CSS art just dedicated to CSS art, not layouts or anything like that. So yeah, make sure you stop by on Thursday. And until next time, as you know, I'm Roland Taylor, aka Roland Ditsar. Music was provided by Creators Lab on YouTube. You can go check them out. They produce free music for content creators and also sound effects as well. So you can go check them out, give them a like and a subscribe. But most importantly, like and subscribe to me and follow me on all my platforms, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and pretty much everywhere that there's a platform. Just look for my name and you'll find me there. Alright, so I'll see y'all next week. Well, Thursday and next week as well.